Welcome to Dear Tay, You Got This. This podcast is a weekly motivational love letter to those who are looking for a change, are currently going through a change, and they need just a little pick-me-up. Tay is a transformation and spiritual coach and author who understands that one small habit over 1 year can create a lifetime of growth. First, we will talk about our topic, and at the end of each episode, I will do a trinity. The trinity is a brag, gratitude, and desire. If you'd like to share your wins, questions, and trinity, please call or text 330-552-7234 to be featured on the podcast. I love hearing about your success and how you are transforming. To learn more about your host, visit her Instagram page, Phoenix of Change. In April of 2023, I found a certification program called Mental Health First Aid. As a coach, I felt that it was important for me to learn ways to talk to people, especially if they are experiencing a mental health crisis. Working with people going through trauma could be a daily occurrence, and I wanted to be prepared. During the next couple of months, I will be doing a self-care series. I will be talking about the different types of self-care and how I use them during my first year of consistent healing practices. Note that your experience may be different and that I was not actively using these techniques at the beginning, but they grew into my life. Self-care is all about putting your oxygen mask on first to be able to help others. Self-care are the activities and practices that you engage in to help reduce stress and maintain your health and well-being. It is meant to refuel you, not deplete you. The areas of self-care that can help your overall well-being include intellectual, emotional, environmental, physical, spiritual, financial, community, and occupational. In 2022, I decided that I wanted to be more consistent in my business. And one of the ways that I thought to do that was to grow my TikTok following. Now, at the time, I was making videos, but I didn't feel like they were reaching the audience that I was looking for. So what did I do? I needed to have a catch. So my catch was doing sock videos. And basically what that means is I got on TikTok every morning. I uploaded a video saying, hey, these are my socks for the day, my motivational speech, and then showed everyone my socks. Surprisingly enough, I ended up having over 230 plus pair of socks. And trust me, the collection is still extensive. Now, the 230 pairs grows every single day, every single week, every single month. But I can tell you that one of the places that I ended up getting socks from was Chakra Wonders. When I went on their website, not only did I see that they had socks, but I also saw that they had artwork, mugs, hats, and even some books. It is such a great place to go to, especially if you're looking for something that is going to... What I love about Chakra Wonders is that it's an organization that provides products and accessories to those interested in astrology, metaphysics, and self-healing practices. Their mission is to build a resort-style facility structured around modern and advanced holistic and naturopathic therapies for physical and spiritual healing. When you make a purchase, you are helping them build a holistic sanctuary for wellness and renewal. Go to chakrawonders.com and use coupon code DEARTAY to receive 15% off your purchase. That is chakrawonders.com. Chakra Wonders is an organization that provides products and accessories to those interested in astrology, metaphysics, and self-healing practices. Their mission is to build a resort-style facility structured around modern and advanced holistic and naturopathic therapies for physical and spiritual healing. When you make a purchase, you are helping them build a holistic sanctuary for wellness and renewal. Go to chakrawonders.com and use coupon code DEARTAY to receive 15% off your purchase. That's WONDERS.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dear Tay, You Got This podcast. This is the final self-care series that I'm going to be doing. I feel like over the last 12 episodes, give or take, when we're talking about January to December self-care, that I've hit a pretty good portion of all of the self-care things that I took care of in the year of 2023 that started me on this journey. I'm excited because in the last month of last year, a lot of things took place. And some of those things I'm not going to talk about because they're not essentially important to the self-care portion. But it does talk a lot about, my boundaries, where I stood at the end of the year, and basically the changes that I wanted in 2024. And in all honesty, those changes took a lot of time. They took a lot of patience. And I'm excited to say that now things have definitely been a lot better for myself. I have created a life that I essentially could have only dreamed of. And I don't think that it could have happened had I not taken the time out in 2023 to stop drinking, to actually pay attention to my emotions, what was going on in my surroundings, redoing my boundaries, and all of those things to help me get to where I am now. So in the December self-care, two of the self-care areas that I'm going to talk about are the physical self-care and spiritual self-care, and how that really encompassed the rest of my year and going into 2024. So one of the things that I started to do in December was that I started to look at holistic healing as a whole. I started eating better. I started making better choices. I started to solidify my boundaries and really look at what those look like in my life and how I wanted those to really go forth and be great within my own life. I started closing out energy leaks, not only in my home but also in my relationships, and I'll talk a little bit about energy leaks. And then I thought about what's holding me back from moving forward with my goals, and basically how to break those habits. At the beginning of last year, I already broke into habits. I wanted to get up early, so I started getting up early. And although I don't get up at exactly 6 o'clock anymore, I do find the time still to get up early, to go to work, to work on my podcast, to write my book, to whatever before I get ready to go to work. Sometimes that includes breakfast, sometimes it does not. Whichever way it goes, I've learned how to still be able to get up and do those things. Now, are there some days still where I'm like, I am too tired for this? Absolutely. And those are the days that I stay in bed until about 7. I stopped drinking in 2023. In 2023, I only had one drink where that was accidentally given to me. And after the year, I noticed that I felt better. I felt healthier. I started losing weight in my face. My skin started to look different. Like everything kind of just like everything looked different. Like people could tell that I was doing something, and I didn't realize how much extra weight the liquor and the wine was putting on my body. I can say now that I have had, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 drinks in the entire year, like as of right now of 2024. And in actuality, I realized that it's really about moderation, because in all of the times that I've had a drink, like an actual alcoholic drink, it's been like 1 glass of wine, except the one time where I finished half a bottle by myself. Yes, that seems excessive, but I was actually celebrating, so there's that. But it didn't turn into the next day, and the next day I was drinking again. So I've had a handful of times where I've actually drank, or maybe somebody I know had a drink and I was like, oh, let me try it, and took a sip. There really hasn't been, let me sit, have a drink, and do this on a consecutive basis. There really hasn't been any of that, which is a big deal considering what I used to do when I drank before. Um, and it really just goes to show you that you don't have to change a lot in your life. You don't really have to change all of these things. It really can just be one or two things, and you'll see changes over time. So within the physical state, one of the things that I started doing, like I stated, was I started eating better. Now, one of the things that I don't like to do, and anybody who knows me can tell you this, that I don't like to exercise. And it's not because it's physical activity. No, it's the repetitiveness of the exercise. So I'll give you an example. This past weekend, as I stated, I don't normally exercise. I will go walk. Sometimes I will go run. I haven't ran in a long, long time. But sometimes I will like break away and go do these things for whatever reason. I need to get something off my mind. My body feels restless, so I need to go run out some energy, whatever. Well, this past weekend, I actually felt like I needed to center myself. I really needed to think about what it was that I was doing with my life. I needed a couple of moments to just like sit and like do nothing but one thing. So what I actually decided to do was I did 108 sun salutations, which if you remember, I did that in January of this year. And when I tell you that the one thing that I enjoyed about it was really sitting back, doing the sun salutations, and really giving myself the space to relearn my body, to relearn my movements, to really get connected. But it also allowed me to sit back and think a little bit, because not only did I think about not what I was doing, which was the sun salutations, but I was also thinking about my current situation, how I want things to move forward. And it really gave me a space to think about what it was that I wanted to do. So in that particular instance, like, yes, I don't count that as exercise per se. Did my muscles hurt afterwards? Absolutely. But I wouldn't quite say that that was exercise. Um, Within that same still, I started to eat better. I'm starting to make better choices when it comes to food. So there are times where I will want a meatless option. There are times where I just want a salad. There are times where I want to eat like super rich foods. But on the off chance that that is not available, I am 85% of the time picking healthier eating choices, which for most people is not an option. But for me, it's super easy to just go to the store, buy a head of lettuce and some tomatoes and onions, and then make a salad, or anything like that. So it really is about taking that time out and seeing what it is that your body needs, and making those choices so that you feel better overall. There are times where I will eat something and I feel super heavy, I feel super bogged down. And there are other times where I feel like I am on top of the world, or I am floating because I haven't actually had something so heavy. So it's nice to go ahead and switch that up every once in a while and make sure that I'm still making those healthy choices. Again, does that happen often? More often than not. But it's always nice to be able to see that I'm still making healthy choices. I'm still on a consistent basis, not drinking. Like, I don't buy alcohol for my house anymore. I still have a bottle of wine downstairs from, I think at this point a couple of years ago. I had bought this wine because it was so good. And the brand itself is super pretty. The bottle is beautiful. And I bought this bottle of wine because I knew that I was going to drink it eventually. But now I don't even buy wine. If I do buy wine, it's for like shepherd's pie or some kind of recipe, or if I have friends coming over, they have really good non-alcoholic wine options. And I will say that's the one thing that I did miss, is wine. So being able to have that non-alcoholic wine option is always great. So, I mean, personally for me, that was a plus. So yeah, when it comes down to it, I'm making healthier choices, and I honestly have to say that's probably a really good thing, considering. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was closing energy leaks. And as I stated, we're going to go ahead and talk about that. So, and this falls into I'm going to say falls into more of the spiritual, but also can be a physical thing as well. So, I went into this coaching program. So over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, I have been part of different coaching programs. And one of the coaching programs that I went through had a section where they were talking about closing energy leaks. And basically, what it is energy leaks are those things that take away your energy, that you may or may not think about on a constant basis. That may or may be giving energy to that could be used for something else. So one of the examples would be, I have a really good example of this actually. So in my basement, for anybody who doesn't know that I didn't talk about this yet, if I didn't talk about this yet, when I first started my podcast in June, I started recording downstairs in the basement. And the reason I started recording downstairs in the basement is because everywhere else is hardwood floor and it kind of echoes all over the place. So I was like, well, let me do it in the basement, because in the basement there is carpet, and it is very much like if you close the door to the laundry room, it doesn't reverberate all over the place. So I was like, all right, let's go ahead and start recording down there. So I did. I started recording down there, and then all of a sudden I started having these like weird like symptoms of like being sick or like upper respiratory things. And I was like, what is going on? Well, it turns out that there was mold growing out in the basement. Did I know this? Yes. Did I know it was that bad? No. It was a lot worse than what I thought. Now, on my list of things, and I actually have a list in my phone of things that I want to take care of, things that I want done. And one of them was getting the basement waterproof. Getting a basement waterproof is not an inexpensive task. Depending on what company you go with, how they do it, all of that. So I ended up getting the basement waterproof, which was really good. They did a really great job. Now when I go down there, it does not feel moist. After a storm, which we've had quite a few of over the last few months, where it's been like super wet and just when you went into my basement on those days, or even days after those storms, it wasn't as wet downstairs, which was amazing, because that's basically what was breeding the mold that was in the basement. So that was an energy leak for me. So what I did was, I got that taken care of. I took that off my list. Now that's not something that I need to worry about. The other energy leak that is like lingering for the basement is no longer the waterproofing. It is now making sure that there's no more mold downstairs in the basement. And that is still on my list as an energy leak. Another thing that was on my list during this time, you can literally have it be anything. They give you several different topics. I want to say there's like 8 different topics. You have a miscellaneous, you have a home, you have relationships, you have career or job, you have your car, you have all of these things that could become energy leaks. So some of the examples that I also have was like painting my bathroom. I had bought the paint for my bathroom to paint it like 3 years prior. And it was because I was going to like have this like paint party. I was gonna have people come over and help me paint my bathroom and like all of this. We were gonna have just make a day of it, and that never happened. So the paint just literally sat in my closet for a couple of years. And then finally I was like, this bathroom needs to be painted. So I went ahead, I painted the bathroom. That was another energy leak down. Another thing was fixing my broken toilet. I let my toilet run for months before I decided to go get the piece to fix it. And it was an easy fix, It was just that I felt like I couldn't find the time. I didn't know what was going on with it. So eventually what I did was I just turned off the water to it and I just let it sit there. So when it did that, I was just like, all right, well, I'll fix it eventually. And I think after it ran for a couple of months, I turned the water off, and I think it was like that for a couple of weeks. And this is my main bathroom upstairs. So basically, I wake up in the morning, I wake up in the middle of the night, I have to use the bathroom, whatever. And it's like, this is an annoyance because now I have to go downstairs to use the bathroom downstairs. Then I have to come back upstairs to get back into bed. So I was like, all right, let's go fix it. So I went ahead and did that. I also had one where it was like going out with friends or like hanging out with friends, reestablishing my friendships, things like that was also an energy leak. I had not been doing that for a while. I had really been concentrating on a lot of my stuff, which, by the way, not a bad thing, but I knew for myself that I still needed a social life. So one of the things that I did was I started to plan going out with my friends, and that's basically what ended up happening at the beginning of this year. When spring came, it was like my friends were like, hey, we're gonna go do this, we're gonna go do that, we're gonna go do this. And I was like, yes. So I was out of the house almost every weekend for like a month and a half. And then even now I still do that, but it's not as often. And of course now it's getting cold, so it's a little different at this point. But do I still reach out to my friends and talk to them? Yes. Do we still go hang out periodically? Yes. Of course, in the springtime and the summer months is probably when you're going to hang out with your friends more. But being able to put that time together is something that is always nice. And then the last thing was finding a new job. And I think that this, for a lot of people, is probably on their list, depending on where they are in their lives at this moment. Some people are not happy with where they are in their position. Some people are stressed out. Some people don't take vacation. Some people are really just fed up and ready to move on. And a lot of times we just hold on to that for whatever reason we feel. This can be a big energy leak for you. So one of the things for myself, just like in the beginning of 2023, where I knew that things, after I stopped drinking, that things were the scales were going to tip. And it was because there was so much on my plate. I wasn't really happy where I was. I was stressed out. And life was it seemed like too much. And what I did, again, I slowly just started chipping away at different things. First, it was my relationships that weren't going well. Then it was my job that wasn't going well. Then it was getting my finances in order. And all of these things equated to me getting rid of a lot more energy leaks. And you can actually do this exercise as well. If you just sit down, you put out these categories, you put home, relationships, car, job, miscellaneous. And in each of those things, you put down something that you've been neglecting to do or something that you've been wanting to do that you haven't. So one energy leak that's like looking me right in the face right now is my bedroom wall. I want to repaint my bedroom, and I have a whole theme and everything. And I have like sample paint. And I was like, oh yeah, let me go ahead and like figure out what I want this to look like. So me and my boyfriend actually went into my bedroom and did like a little swatch on the wall to show what it would look like. And it looks wonderful. It looks great. So now I just have this big old swatch on my wall. And now it's like, oh, we should probably, I don't know, get the paint to actually paint this wall so that it's done. So that's an energy leak right now that's looking at me dead in the face. And as I'm recording this, I'm actually looking at another one or a couple of them where I've started paintings and they're just kind of sitting there and not doing anything. Those would be considered energy leaks. If you need to get your oil changed, that could be considered an energy leak. And basically what it is getting rid of these energy leaks. Excuse me. Getting rid of these energy leaks actually helps you to put more energy into the things that you really want to focus on. Now, for me, in my specific case, one of the things last year that was really holding me back was the fact that I had a lot of junk in my house. So I started to declutter. This for me was a big energy leak because there was a lot of stuff that I just didn't need anymore that I was holding on to where I was just like, okay, it's time to let this stuff go. And for me, one of the things that this does, even if it doesn't take up that much energy per se, what it does is it takes up a lot of brain space. And I can't concentrate. I can't sit down and do a podcast. I can't sit down and edit my book. I can't sit down and enjoy a movie without thinking about all of the things, long list of things that I have to do, or the long list of things that could possibly be taking my energy away. So, one of the things that I will probably do this week is sit back and do another energy leak list, or maybe I'll just look at my energy leak list on my phone, and start ticking off some things that I really want to get done, because it's one, again, it's one of those things where oftentimes, no, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to be in the forefront of your mind. But at the end of the day, once you start getting rid of these energy leaks, once you start actually ticking off these things on your box, the amount of accomplishment that you're going to feel is going to be so great, that in all honesty, like you'll be like, all right, what else can I do? And you'll start just ticking away at different things. Again, not all of these things deal with, needing money to do it. Some of these things are very simple, just like finishing up my art projects has nothing to do with adding any additional anything to my life. And in all honesty, it would probably be nice to just like sit and like do that, right? Another thing would be me doing my 108 sun salutations. The last time I did that was at the beginning of the year. And I just decided, hey, I really need this right now. Let me go ahead and do that. And it helped me to clear my mind. It helped me to get back on track, which was really, really nice. So if there's going to be a couple of tasks for you to do this week. And one of them will be to at least make a list of energy leaks and then pick one thing on that list that you want to take care of that's going to put you at peace. It's going to make your mind rest, and you're not going to have to sit and think about it again. And then last but not least, when it comes down to understanding what's holding me back, how I want to move forward with my goals and other habits that I want to break, I basically have just sat back and looked at all of the changes that happened over the last year. And if I'm being honest, one of the things that I want to do is go back into my journals and reread everything that was going on last year, and how different things are now. Because when I say that I have made a lot of changes over the last year just by changing two things, I am honestly not kidding. If you have listened to any of the self-care series, which again, before this, there's 11 other episodes of the self-care series where you sit back and you look at what are the things that you've changed over the year. I can honestly say that if I go back into my journals, I'm going to be absolutely floored, at the amount of changes that I've made, and the changes that I've seen, not only within myself, but within the people around me, just by doing the changes for myself. And I think that a lot of times we don't look at how much something is bogging us down and how much that is affecting every single choice that we make. The one thing that I sat and talked about yesterday, I am in the middle of doing the Journey to Energetic Alignment workshop series, and it's the second session that I'm doing. And last night we were on the solar plexus chakra, and the solar plexus is the center of your power. It's the center of your choices and your autonomy. It's who you are, who you want to be. And that portion of the energetic chakra system is where that resides. And the one thing that I was talking about was how making your choices really is about how that shapes everything else in your life. And a lot of times we don't look at that. A lot of times we don't look at how our choices are affecting everything that we do. Last year, I made a choice. I made a choice to stop drinking. I tell people all the time, if that is not the route that you want to go because you want to continue drinking, awesome.
let's change something else. Eventually, what might happen is you might stop drinking. But for the most part, if you're changing one thing, there are so many other things that are going to change. And these are basically the compounds of each and every choice that you make. I literally have sat back and thought about the goals that I've wanted in my life. Even now, as I'm doing this podcast, I can hear the different things in my brain of like what I want to do, how I want to achieve the things that I want to achieve. How do I get this out to more people? How do I get more people doing the energetic alignment, things of that nature? And all of those things swirl around in my head constantly and go towards the goal that I want. But then I sit back and I think about what is holding me back? What is it that keeps me from doing the things that I know that I have to do? And oftentimes it is those energy leaks that I talked about. It is the knowing that I still have other things that I have to do. And I feel like I have to do those before I can move forward. Or a lot of the time, it can be the fear of failure or the fear of success. I think in my case, it's a little bit of both. I am scared to fail, although I've done so many, many, many times. I still graduated college and failed chemistry. Like, there are things that I have still failed at that I'm like, okay, that doesn't make my entire life. And I've been able to say, all right, yes, I failed at this one thing, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna fail at this. And as you can tell, I've been doing this podcast now for 4 months. Like, we're at episode, I want to say 21, 22 already. And it's really interesting to see how much the podcast has progressed. And I'm excited going forward because now that the self-care series is over, now we start talking about, going into each of the little changes and what that looks like and how you can truly take these self-care tips, use them going forward, and change the things that you're doing in your life. In all honesty, I can definitely say that I could definitely see myself somewhere different than I was before. I don't know about you, but I've had dreams about where I am going, about what I am doing. And it is not often now that I see those shifts, but in doing this podcast and doing the self-care series and overlooking what 2023 looks like, I realized that a lot of the things that I have wanted, that I have manifested, that I have decided were for me are now in my life because of the changes that I've made. And this isn't something that I'll say is this, you'll sit back, you'll be like, oh, well, that's, completely woo-woo. Like, you sat and you manifested, you thought about it and you got it and all this other stuff. Whichever way that you think, one thing that I can tell you is if you change your habits, things in your life will change. And again, it doesn't matter what habit you start with, just start with a habit. If there is something that you're like, I really need to learn how to stop doing this, start changing that habit. Start doing the things that are going to keep you from doing that and go from there. And I think once you start to realize and see that you are able to change your perspective, you are able to change your habits, then you'll start to change more. And again, it is a slow, gradual process. I stopped drinking in January. I didn't start seeing changes until mid-March. Then after I decided that I was going to stop drinking more, I started to see more changes over the next few months. And it's a process, but you have to wake up every day. You have to choose that change. You have to choose the goals that you have in your life in order to succeed going forward. And what I want you to do as you're sitting here listening to this podcast, and as this podcast ends, I want you to do a couple of things. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to sit back with your self-care notebook or your journal or whatever, and I want you to sit back and I want you to pick an area of self-care, that you are going to work on this week, that you are going to put in your plan this week, whether it be physical, whether it be spiritual, whether it be intellectual, whatever it is, pick one and pick something out of that category that you want to do for self-care this week. Your next task is going to be writing out what your energy leaks are in your life and start to close them. As you start to close them, not only will you start feeling better mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and maybe even physically, then you can start closing more energy leaks, and then start at that point deciding what are the new habits that you are going to start. If one of your energy leaks is decluttering, go ahead and start decluttering, and then start making the habit of not bringing in more things of that, whatever it is that you're getting rid of, decluttering. So if it's paper, stop bringing paper into the house, stop doing whatever. For me, at this moment, what I'm working on is counter space. Whenever there is an open space, no matter what it is, I'm like, ooh, I can put something on it. I'm working on it. That is not yet a habit that I've broken, but I am definitely working on that because I'm tired of coming home and there's stuff all over the counter. It's very annoying. It's very, very annoying. But it's one of those things where it's like, all right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this together. All right. So with that being said, I'm excited to say that the self-care series is done. And it is quite possible that I will hit back on the self-care series and maybe not actually do a series, but I will hit back on the self-care areas and what you can be doing in those areas specifically to be moving forward in your life. As always, we're going to finish this off with the Trinity, which is where I say what I'm grateful for, I brag, and I say a desire that I am feeling at this very moment. And if you want to send in your Trinity, just let me know. I will go ahead and share it on the podcast because honestly, not that I'm running out of things to be grateful for or to brag about or to desire, but I am literally just, I would love to hear stories from each and every one of you about what it is that you guys are accomplishing when it comes down to your lives. I'm excited that you decided to listen to this podcast. I'm excited that you've decided that you want to make a change. And hopefully this podcast is helping you with that. So without further ado, let's go into something that I want to brag about. So I'm going to brag about the fact that I've been working on building my business consistently for the last 2 years. And when I say consistently because yes, for those of you who know me, my business has actually been up and running for the last 6 years. I've been, putting in time and energy into my business, and there have been things that I've changed, things that I've maneuvered around, all of that. But I can say since the beginning of last year, and a little bit before that, I have been working consistently on my business for the last 2 years, whether that's doing this podcast, whether that's writing emails, whether that's, doing my workshops or setting up for my workshops, just really looking at how things are going to build progressively. I've been doing that for the last 2 years. So I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited that, in 2023, my focus word was consistency, and I really kept with that. That's something that I honestly am so grateful for, and really just wanted to brag about today. Another thing, or one thing that I am grateful for, I should say another thing because I did say that I'm grateful for the fact that I've been working on my business consistently because I think that's good. I am also grateful for the ability to smile. There are so many times in my life where I can feel like I really just want to take a nap. That I'm tired. I'm ready to settle down and sit down, and whether it be just in life or with my business or anything. And the one thing that I never stop doing, I feel, is smiling. And I think that that brings in a whole new element into my life because I do talk to people every day. I do have a job that I enjoy. I have a podcast that I enjoy doing. And in all honesty, for a lot of people, the ability to smile and it be genuine is really hard because a lot of us are going through a lot of shit right now. But I am super grateful that I do actually have the ability to smile. That literally makes me so happy to know that I'm on the right path, that I'm doing what I need to do. And why did I just realize, for those of you who are watching this in the video, I'm just realizing that I didn't turn on my light. So it's kind of dark in here, but I digress. Is that I am grateful for noticing that I totally forgot to turn on the light. So there's that. Anywho's it's so yeah, there's that. And then a desire that I have, I think you guys have heard me say this a lot. One of the things that I didn't do this year, usually once a year, I go to Florida to get some beach and some air and some loveliness. And the reason for that is because I just want to be somewhere where it's nice and warm and great, and my friend lives down there. So why not? So one of my desires at this moment is I'm ready for a beach vacation. So whether it be, you know, Florida, whether it be California, whether it be North Carolina, I honestly don't care. I do need somewhere very, very warm and very, very nice and pretty. So I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. I think at this point, it's not too late at this point to find somewhere where it's still going to be hot and nice. But definitely desire, if not a beach vacation, just a vacation in general. Because I've been working my ass off for the last few months, and it's time. It's time to just be great. So I hope that you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening to Dear Tay, You Got This. And I hope to see you all next week.
Thank you for listening to Dear Tay, You Got This. If you liked this podcast episode and found it helpful, please subscribe today and share this episode with a friend. If you have any questions, comments, wins, or would like to be featured on this podcast, please call or text 330-552-7234 or email info@desirablephoenix.com. See you next week.